Cool. And I would like to do Twitter as well because Twitter's where a lot of things are sort of happening at the moment. So if you're not following me on Twitter, go and do that. My Twitter account is at Joseph Gerard, no, underscore Joseph Gerard. Oh, then what? I don't know, SD? No, it's just at underscore Joseph Gerard. Cool. So that's easy. Jump over there because that's getting some cool conversations with people and a lot of different people all over the place. So what I wanted to look at today was a post that I put up. Oh, I just bloody got out of it. Regarding abuse towards kids. And then as an extension, like I was looking at the point, if you've watched a couple of these now, you'll understand that most abuse that happens to kids happens within a family context or to them by people that they know, right? And that's something that a lot of people don't really understand, but it's important to be aware of because most of the time that these things happens to kids, it's going to be happening in environments that you think are most safe. And that brought me to the point that I'd be really, really interested to hear about because this is something I've asked my own parents and found out about, and it's pretty shocking, to be fair. What happened to particularly my dad growing up? I know my mum got smashed a fair bit as well, but she got sick before I could really have these conversations with her. But I had some conversations with my dad, and his folks grew up in so I think it was this one. I didn't want to reply. I just wanted to hold on. There we go. Yeah. So for my dad growing up, when he was young, one of the things that happened to him that was atrocious was he was blamed by his mother for the death of his little brother, who was born with heart problems and died when he was, I think my dad was 6 and his little brother was 2. And his mum, so my grandma on my dad's side, basically drilled into my dad's head that it was his fault that his brother had died and that she wished that he had died and not the little brother. That's a pretty bloody intense thing, as well as then, beating him physically until he was like bleeding, bruised, couldn't walk, locking him in cupboards, closets. It's like the shit you see on really messed up movies. That was pretty much my dad's upbringing. And to think that there's not a lot of trauma that sort of goes with that is pretty nuts. But then what happened to us as kids? Like we used to get whacked with. He had a cane. He had a wooden cane that he used to beat us with when we were bad as kids. But to him, that was nothing because what he'd been through was so intense and so crazy that hitting kids, once every couple of months or something with a cane on the bum, not beating them till they're bloody and bruised, just that was really mild to him from his perspective. That was and I get that. I understand. I still didn't like getting whacked with a stick. It wasn't fun. But I can understand that from where he was coming from, being beaten bloody, I'm pretty sure he got knocked out at times, like really intense abuse. And on top of that, being accused of the reason that your little brother's died and being told that you should have died and not him, like that's pretty solid, right? To come through that and actually still be in existence, I think is an achievement in itself. When I started hearing this from him, I was like, whoa, holy crap. And then you look at a lot of these articles, like this one I brought up, this post on Twitter. Hold on, I'm just going to make that bigger on. Yeah, there you go. If you're on YouTube, you'll see that's bigger now. And this lady responded. It just got me thinking. So I had this article that I sort of filmed over and did a post on, and it was going through on New York Post on their website, and it's got all these articles about kids abuse and how it's almost always the parents that are doing it, and they've like killed their kids, or they've tried to kill their kids, or they've left their kids I don't know, just really messed up stuff, right? Not stuff that you sort of want to be spending a lot of time thinking about because it is very uncomfortable. And I had this lady comment. She said, like your own mum. And I didn't really understand. I thought she was like having a go initially, but I don't think she was. I think she was just genuinely curious. And my mum was great to me. Like we used to get hit with a wooden spoon. Mum used to use a wooden spoon, and Dad used to have the cane that he'd whack us with. And but I grew up quick, and I was learning like karate and martial arts stuff. So Mum couldn't really discipline me once I was like 8 years old. I was pretty much in control. I don't know. That was a great thing, but there was a couple of times I saw my mum go nuts on my sisters, and it was pretty funny. But they probably deserved it, to be fair. But never in the way that Dad did. Dad always had the power, the strength, and I guess more of the fear that we had. But Mum was by and large a brilliant, brilliant mother. Not a great wife, but brilliant mother, and that's what we're sort of focusing on for this one. But her upbringing, she got beaten a lot as well. So anything from my parents' perspective, right, what they did to us with the hitting and discipline was very, very mild, like very chilled, because what they went through was just nuts, right? And it was just interesting hearing from this lady, and she was saying a similar thing, that, she'd been abused a lot, psychologically, physically, and as a result, she was just talking about how that had led through to certain things in her life and how that had shaped her decisions around her parenting. And that's, to me, very interesting. And I'd be really interested if there's any parents that are sort of listening to this and you guys have had your own story with that. You don't have to go into a lot of detail, but I was actually really appreciative to this lady sharing that. And as a result of her going through those things, this bloody pimple's doing my head in. I don't know where it's come from. As a result of her going through those things, she made it a really big priority to her to create this safe space for her son to grow up in. And that can have positives and negatives, because you can go too far the other way, especially for boys. Like, they need discipline, they need strength, and they need like a solid hand. They don't need to be whacked. That's not saying you need to whack your kids. That's not what I was saying at all. But they need to see strength. They need discipline. I think the approach to girls has got to be very different. But for boys, they need that show of force. They need that strength. They need that positive, powerful example to follow, because they have that masculine nature in them. And if it's not shaped in a productive way, it can be very, very bad. So this lady was talking about how she sort of did that with her son. I didn't go into a lot of detail with it. But being able to create a safe space for kids is enormously important, where they feel safe enough, to just sort of do their thing. That's incredibly important for kids. And that was it. I don't know. I'd like to have more of a conversation with her. So I'm going to reach out to her again and see if she wants to come do a little interview, and discuss it, because I'd be interested to see what her approach was for her son, and how her son's 15 now, and just how that sort of eventuated. But I'd love to hear from parents on here, just because I understand the stats, and my focus is always on the kids, given that's my business. But I'd be really interested to hear what parents' approach have been through abuse to discipline. And then at the back end of that, how the kids are turning out, not how the parents think they're turning out, but how do you sort of measure it categorically? Like, what's their relationships like with their friends? How their sort of results academically? Like, what's their thought process like? Are they disciplined? Are they healthy with their body? Like, different things like that. And then the adjustments for boys and girls. I'd be very, very intrigued to hear different people's stories on that. So if you've been through something like that and you want to share it, I'd just be really, really interested. Being aware that those things happen in the family environment is important, but I think also what lessons you've learned and how you're sort of taking that into your life and your parenting journey is probably more important, to be honest. So yeah, if you want to share that, I'd be keen to listen. And then one of the things this is like a tack on to everything else. One of the things that has been blowing my mind on on Facebook, on Instagram in particular, has been doing my bloody head in with the marketing for this stuff, because I'm really passionate about this. I know it's really important. And I also know that when people don't pay attention to these sort of abuse stats for kids and you're a parent, especially when you know that at bare minimum, you've got a 20% chance of this happening to your child. If you've got a girl, it's higher, it's 33% chance. And that's just for one kid. Once you have two, obviously those go up. If you're not aware of this information, you're not doing anything to prevent it, and then it happens, that is very, very, very painful to sort of go through and watch. And then also understanding that a lot of parents would have actually been through this stuff themselves. And so my thought process was like, why are people not paying more attention to this? Why do these things not grab people's attention? Why do people feel so scared to discuss it? And one of the things I thought about that I thought could be quite interesting was that, are a lot of people actually, have they been through this themselves? And then it brings up shit like when I'm talking about sexual abuse and it happening in a family environment or to kids by people that they know. Is that like a trigger for parents that have already been through it? And so rather than dealing with it to find preventions for their kids, are they just avoiding it because psychologically for them it's too hard? And that's why I'd be really interested to hear from parents that may have experienced this growing up, like my dad did, maybe not to the extent that he did, like my mum did, maybe not to the same extent. But I'd just be interested to hear if that's something that you guys have been through, how that sort of flowed through to your parenting. And then, super importantly, what are your approaches to making sure these things don't happen to your kids? That would be, yeah, I'd just be really interested to hear that, because that's my business. That's what I'm creating with what I'm doing. And I'm just intrigued as to what sort of ticks those things. So if you've got an experience or you want to share something, you want to jump on a call with me and share it to other people on the channels, I would be super appreciative to that. I know that can be a really scary thing, so I think it's probably a pretty big long shot. But yeah, I'd be happy to sort of do it and nut out some discussions and maybe be able to add some more things to the programs that will be of benefit to more kids. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, having bad shit happen in your life is not something that's going to change, especially if it's already happened. But I think you've got a choice, and you can bury your head in the sand, or you can do something about it and make sure it doesn't happen again. And that's in any area of your life, whether it be health, whether it be money, whether it be emotionally, whether it be physically. They're choices that you get to make. So if someone's listening to this and they want to make that choice and share those lessons with other people, I'd be hugely appreciative for that. If not, that's cool. And I hope at the very least this has sort of got your cogs turning a little bit and made you sort of think about something a little bit different. So I'll leave it there. If you want to get the self-defense program that I've got for kids that teach them specific strategies to prevent these things from happening, learning that they can say no to anyone, not just strangers. Again, stranger danger is a waste of time. Most people tout it as the best thing since sliced bread, and it's just not. It needs to be different. There needs to be a different approach. It needs to be a better approach. My approach works. So if you want them to do that course, drop a comment below. I'll get you the link. If you want to just try out a free week and see if it's something that your kid's going to connect with, drop a comment below. I'll get you that link. Or send me a message directly. That's completely fine on any of these channels. There was one other thing. Books, kids' books. I've got a couple of kids' books that I've got on Amazon. So if you want your kids to sort of read some books that are teaching powerful values around patience, resilience, consistency, confidence, overcoming obstacles, I love the books that I've written. Of course, they're mine, and I think they're really good. But I'd love for you guys to sort of experience them and share them with your kids. So if you want to get them, drop a comment. Keep following the channels, because I do post about them. But jump over to Twitter again, @_ Joseph Gerard on Twitter. Follow me on there. I'll be able to more of a conversation. Let me know what you think, and I shall talk to you guys later.